thank everyone for tuning in. So as you may have seen on the post, this will be the last stream before Christmas and New Year's. The reason for this is because I'm going abroad, in a few days. Be heading off to Japan with some friends, and I'll be there over across New Year's, so we'll be back starting again sort of in mid-January. I'm thinking let me see what the first Thursdays are in January. Hoping to be back online by the 11th, so the second Thursday of January is when the next stream is hopefully going to be. And what we're thinking of doing is, Tony and I have been talking about this, and we're thinking about expanding the stream capacity as a bit more. So we're thinking of going to do twice a week, so we're going to do something on Mondays and on Thursdays. And the structure we're planning on doing is, in Thursdays we'll still be looking at things like the heavy meta, what's popular, what's good, what people are going to be playing, things you should be aware of, things that people are likely to want to pick up. And then what we might do is on Mondays we might go for a more light-hearted sort of thing, where we just look at funny decks or interesting things that have top but we don't necessarily think are high meta, or maybe we'll just build some memes and throw them against each other. So if you guys have anything,
we'll also take a look at some Bushiroad inspired lists.
Oh yeah.
See what they recommend for us to play, and then we'll play those
and see how bad they really are. The stock lists from whenever time a new set comes out. So look forward to that. And another thing I said I was planning on doing, as you may have seen from the various posts, is that obviously I'll be going to Japan and I'll be picking up a lot of stuff while I'm there. One thing I'm going to hope to do is maybe pick up some other bits and pieces, and maybe after New Year's I'll do a small giveaway. And actually, hopefully after the New Year's I'll have a really major announcement to give to everyone as well, but we'll take it in baby steps and see how things as they come. So in the meantime, let's go straight into today's deck. So as you may have seen, I've said that today's deck has been a bit of a secret, and this is something that Tony and I are both very excited to do, and hopefully you guys will understand why. Alright, so the very first thing you'll notice is that this is not that you probably don't recognize a lot of these cards. So who thinks they can guess what this deck is? Now, if you are in Different Fights Discord along with me and some others, then you'll know that Gold Paladin is often a point of, let's say, contention in the server. So, despite this, I don't think Gurgit's very good. Gurgit's fine, but I don't think it's very good. The reason I don't think Gurgit's very good is because I don't think it has much of an early game, if at all. But this deck, however, has lots of that. So yes, today we are looking at Garmore. Now, I simultaneously like and don't like talking about this deck, because I personally very much like Liberators, but I also made a bet a long time ago that the moment Garmore becomes meta, I will buy a playset of SPs and roast them live on stream.
Bruh.
So, hopefully this deck doesn't pick up. Otherwise, I might get banned by Bushiroad. So, oh. But yeah, so this is Garmore going into the new set. When the original Garmore Strike got released a few sets ago, everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's happening!" And then we've got Garmore XL, and now it's really happening. So let's just jump right into this build. So this is I would say the default build that I think nearly everyone's gonna run. So you've got Chirp Trumpeter as the starter. What she does is you slide her into the Soul, and she turns your Vanguard into Bruno for one turn. There's a new one coming out in GBT 13, and his effect is he retires himself for Counterblast 1, and he turns 2 of your rear guards into Brunos until the end of turn. I'll explain why I'm running this one instead of the new one later, but let's look at the rest of the deck for now. So we've got 4 Catch Girls, 4 Barb Truck, 4 Rabbit, and then 4 random crits. We've got 4 of the new Falcon, who's amazing, 4 Easegal, who's also amazing, 3 Bruno, 4 Josephus, 4 Brennius, 4 Aglavale, 3 Ajigal, 3 Percival, 4 Garmore XL, 4 Helios, 4 Glorious Reigning, 1 Sarum Glitter, 1 Big Gurgit, 1 Keltis Winner, and your regular lineup of G-Guards. So Do you want to start, Tony? Do you want to start us off with how this deck differs from Gurgit?
Alright, so obviously, uh, so you've got the starter, which is different. We're not running Quell, we're running Cheer Up Temperature, and that's so that we can snowball our, like, obviously our Helioses into, like, redonkulous numbers where we can just glory for game.
Yep.
Trigger lineup is similar. We're running the 8 crit 4 stand. Catch Call is broken. That's all I've got to say. The general idea of the game plan for Garmore Liberators versus Gurgit is a lot different as well. Gurgit seems to be a deck that like focuses on like average power attacks, mostly attacking, whereas Garmore Liberators is more focused on like stacking power, hitting those like big numbers and hitting their face, and it's just more fun, if I want to say that.
Yeah, because with Gurgit, a lot of the stuff is, oh, I make this guy, he makes another guy, whatever. Whereas with the Liberators, it's like, okay, I find my catch girl, who finds my Aglavel, who finds another catch girl, and it goes on, and then Bruno gets like 50k, and that's amazing. So this is one of the reasons that we're running Trumpeter instead of the new starter, which is that you've got Bruno on your side lanes, and you've got Brenius on your side lanes. These guys are going to get huge, no matter what. So rather than make them even huger with the new starter, we play Trumpeter so that our middle column becomes equally huge. Like, say, for example, as you said, on the Helios turns or even on the Glorious Raining turns, it just gives us more average power to play with. And the other thing I really like about the Liberator deck compared to Gurgit as well is that nearly nothing is GB locked, which means that the deck just functions. Unlike Gurgit, who gets grade locked, spends its counterblast on Sabreeze, and then does nothing because it can't counter charges effectively. Like, Liberators can't counter charge effectively either, but they use up a lot less counterblast and get a lot more out of them.
So there's a few cards I want to discuss with you. The first thing I noticed is just yesterday we were talking about the third grade 2 choice, and we were debating on Agilgal and Magnus.
Yep.
So I see that you finally jumped over to the doggo side.
Yes.
Want to elaborate on that?
So, let me switch over to this other list I have real quick, which I've affectionately nicknamed Blue Garmore. And you'll see that in the grade 2 lineup slot, we've got 3 copies of Magnus rather than 3 copies of Ajigal. Now, the reason for this is twofold. The first is, I think, on balance, Magnus is actually better than Ajigal. So Magnus is only works when you have 2 or more Liberator cards on your Vanguard circle, which means you either have to be in Legion, or you have to have Holy Flame or Sarum Glitter strode over Garmore XL. However, what Magnus does is, he only calls 1 as opposed to 2 of the Ajigal. Thank you, Boygadek, for following. So, Magnus only calls 1 instead of 2, but the one he calls will either be just a regular guy, or he'll call a Percival, who you can bounce to your hand and then either stride with, or re-ride with the next turn, which I think is very, very powerful for it gives you, I don't want to say it gives you late game, but it lets you plan a bit ahead. Like, for example, like, you know how in Luard, like, during their big Drag Strider turns, they'll retire a pair of Belial Owls with the Drag Strider effect so that they end up with 6 cards in hand at the end of turn, rather than just a regular 4. It's kind of what Magnus is doing, like, on the same lines, where you do your things, and then you just want to have that grade 3 in hand, just in case, ready for whatever else. And I think that having this, like, the Bluish Flame engine, I'll call it, where you've got, you know, your Percivals, your Magnuses, and we've got 4 Barb Tricks.
Yeah.
It just lets you, like, play that flexible game, where, you know, if you need to find extra stride fodders, because you can't pay the cost of Easgal's, you know, Counterblast Stride, or you want to rewrite Percival and put 4 crits back in the deck, or whatever, it means that you're not locked into going Ride Garmore, Stride Liberator, do something else. Now, of course, to play Magnus, the G-Zone has to change to compensate, so you can see I've got 4 Liberators in the G-Zone, and we've dropped Helios to 2 in this lineup. Now, that's kind of the trade-off, because in this build, we've got 3 Ajigal, and we've maxed out on Helios, because, let's be honest, Helios is not a well-designed card, but it's really stupid. Like, it's so super good.
Yeah, when you can just, like, randomly swing for 51 glory, 4 boosts, That's a bit scary.
With 4 drives, it's like 3 pluses, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's really unfair, but and by that logic, you could say, oh, Helios is so strong, it's worth using like it's worth paying the cost for Agigal, even though the deck is, the deck's not Soul Blast heavy, but you're unlikely to be able to repeatedly use Agigal over and over in a deck, like the way how this deck plays, I think.
Yeah.
So
So Kalen just noticed that we don't run Gleaming Fang Garmore.
yes, because the card
Well,
sucks.
no. You don't run Gleaming Fang Garmore.
The card sucks.
I run Gleaming Fang Garmore because doggos are god.
Yes, the whole point of the deck is the goodest boy,
Yeah.
but the card sucks. Like, don't lie to yourself. The card is awful.
Card is awful, but the boys are good.
The boys are good.
So I'll flip over 6 head pats. I'll head pat 6 good boys, and then I'll do nothing for the rest of the turn. Feels good.
Yeah, like, I think the sad thing as well is, it's what, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, top 4, right? Or top 5?
Top 3.
Jesus, so... I mean, it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing.
But the problem is that all of your best cards aren't high beasts. Like,
yeah.
Bruno's not a dog, Brenius is not a dog, Aglavale is not a dog. So it's just like, to get maximum value out of Gleaming Fang, you're playing so many bad cards.
Oh, and question for you. So you're running the Epona crit.
Yes.
So let's say in the world where you do play Good Boy Garmer, would you be playing Mughal instead? The cat crit.
Yeah, probably.
All right.
I think in the world where I'm playing Gleaming Fang Garmore, I also probably replace Barb Truck, like I just get down to 2 actual Barb Truck and then 2 more, just Margles or something, like just any draw trigger, just to give you a bit more high beasts.
All right.
Like I've seen people play, like when Garmore was first revealed, people were playing like, oh, we should play like Famgal and all these other like 8K dogs, and it's like,
Is Famgal the one that gets like 6K if you call something this turn from the deck?
No, Famgal was the 8K promo from GBTO 3. Just 8K GB1 when it's called, top 3 call another one.
Okay.
So
so I want to look at the level 1 lineup actually.
Okay. So my level 1 lineup is the same across both builds.
Yeah. So it's 3 Bruno, 4 Joseph.
Yes.
So normally when you think of Liberators, you think instantly 4 Brunos.
Yep.
So why no 4 Brunos here? And why for the 4th Joseph instead?
So, talking back to Gurgir for a second, I think one of the best cards in Gurgir, and still one of the best cards in Gurgir to this day, is Jeffrey. In fact, Jeffrey is so good, every other clan has one now.
Yes.
Now, you can argue that Jeffrey's less important when you have Helios, because, you already have the extra plus from the free drive, so you don't need to convert your soft pluses, which are calling from deck to field, into hard pluses, which is drawing a card. But in the case of a deck like Garmore, where you're playing, the 3 columns, big numbers game, you need to, find a way to actually get to the stride game and, actually fight people with. And beyond that, as good as Helios and Glorious Reigning are, they aren't at the level of, say, Drag Strider, The Purge, Deluge. After the first or second stride, Garmore will just have a really, really hard time keeping up with the other, modern decks, as it were. So you kind of need Joseph to just, branch you and just get you a bit further in there. Thanks to the Ninja Bot for following.
So another card of contention could be Zoran. What do you think of Zoran?
I really like Zoran.
As a way of increasing your reach on turns where you have a Bruno behind Helios, let's say.
Yeah, I think that's definitely valid. I played that sort of style combo in my Bluish Flame deck. So, The reason I'm not playing Zoran here is because, one, I think Easegal is hugely more valuable for what the deck wants to do. Like, I would drop Easegal in Bluish Flames, for example, because that deck doesn't want to be striding every single turn. That deck wants to just ride Prominence Glare, Legion Loop, blow you up. So you have the space for Zoran. Whereas here, you're not so much digging for pieces or chaining the way Bluish Flame is, but rather you just want to turn your low-quality soft pluses into high-quality hard pluses, which is what Josephus is good for. And sure, Zoran interacts well with Josephus, but I think, like, when you're striding, say, Glorious Reigning Dragon, and then you call a Zoran off of the Glorious Reigning Dragon, it's really underwhelming. So you'd rather just have more better stuff, like better targets, like, say, an Easegal who's ready to set up, or even just a Magnus who's at least a 9k interceptor, instead of, like, giving you soul, minusing yourself, and potentially not getting anything off the back of that further. Thanks, Axel, for following. So, I think you could, like, if you really wanted to and you felt you had consistency issues, I think you could force in 1 or 2 copies of Zoran. You know, like, you drop an Easegal and drop a Josephus, for example.
Sure.
I just don't think it's that worth it, unless you're going for, like, some ultra intense 8-stand lineup with 4 Gigantech Ringer on top. I mean, that's, you know, that's not the worst thing I've seen this deck do. So.
Alright, so yeah, I want to talk about, is there a potential resource crunch since you're playing 4 Joseph and 3 Agilgals? They all use Soul as their resource.
Agilvel doesn't use Soul.
I mean, not Agilgal.
Agilgal, right, yeah, so in this lineup, you've got 4 Josephus and 3 Agilgal, who's a totally Soul Blast use of 7. None of your triggers go into Soul. Your starter goes into Soul, so assuming your ride, you get 0, 1, 2, 3, that's 3 Soul. Assuming you use Glorious Reigning once, that'll give you up to 4. So I think the main thing is, you want to prioritize Josephus, because the deck has enough ways of enabling Unite and filling the field without Agilgal. But Agilgal is sometimes good for finding you the pieces like Josephus or your extra Bruno. So, yeah, there's definitely a resource crunch, and Shaggy Rabbit is really good, but still not ideal. So that's the other reason that I actually prefer the Magnus build rather than the Agilgal build, because you don't have to think about, like, okay, do I Soul Blast for Joseph or do I Soul Blast for Agilgal, or, you know, you're not forced into re-striding GRD just for Soul to use these things, like, give you your attacks. Of course, I think that's the other issue with Agilgal as well, which is that you're spending a counterblast and a Soul for effectively a +2, but it's not truly a +2, because unless you have something like Josephus or Bruno along with it, Agilgal doesn't get power, which is really annoying. Like, if you compare Agilgal to the Gurgi equivalent, which is Henrinus.
Yes.
Like, we'd rather play Henrinus every day of the week. But it's a case of the deck just wants to do the one thing, which, as we said, is have the big columns and swing.
Yeah, stack the power.
So I think you just need to be careful with how you prioritize that. I mean, if you really wanted, like, if you really struggle for resources, you could just go full ham and play 12 stands. But 12 stands with Glorious Reigning Dragon is not good.
It's nope, not at all.
But on the other hand,
yeah,
12 stands with a 50k Brenius. Now that's a spicy meatball.
:OK_hand:.
Yeah.
Alright. Lastly, I want to talk about the grade 3 line. So, hot topic card, Militant Act Dragon.
Yes.
Where's your copy?
I don't think we need it. Because
of Falcon?
We have 4 Falcon, which is enough.
See, the issue with Falcon that I say is Falcon binds himself and another copy.
Yep.
So, at most, you get to clear 4 circles with 4 copies of him in the drop. Is that enough, you think?
Well, if you use the word enough, realistically, it's never enough. However, the deck only needs 2 open circles to function. And so I think Falcon is enough
Yeah.
to do that.
Okay.
The issue I have with Militant Act Dragon is the skill is really good for what the deck wants to do, but the repeated counterblast investment is very, very difficult. And the fact that Militant Act is not a Liberator.
Okay, yeah.
And if you notice, a lot of things require you to have a Liberator Vanguard. And given that your regular stride will be Helios or Glorious Reigning, you're going to have no Liberator on the Vanguard. And that is crushing.
Radio. Alright.
Oh, hang on. I just want to quickly put something up from Kalen. So, let me see if I can put this on the screen. Window capture.
Yeah, when does Bruno become a dog? When does Bruno become a good boy?
So yeah, I'd like to just share this thing from I'd like to share this thing that Kalen sent me, which is Bruno is now a high beast. Everything's okay, boys. So to answer a different fight, yes and no. Like, but your stride inherits the Liberator name if Militant Act himself was the Liberator. But because he's
I think what a different fight is saying is, let's say we rode onto Militant Act,
Yep.
and then we strode onto, let's say, Holy Flame or Saram Glitter.
Oh yeah, then it would work, sure.
Yeah.
But then again, Holy Flame and Saram Glitter don't do anything either, because they need Liberator Hearts as well.
Oh, they need hearts. Ooh.
Yep. So it's really tough. Like, I think potentially even the Falcon himself might even need a Liberator to use his effect. Let me double check that real quick.
Improve Falcon.
Okay, no, he doesn't. So he's generic.
No, he's generic. Alright.
But yeah, like, there's enough things that look for a Liberator Heart that makes it really painful.
Yeah. Alright. It's pretty simple deck, pretty fun deck.
Yeah. So the thing,
Say-
like,
Yeah, keep going.
I don't want to kid anyone. Like, this deck is not top tier. Like, you will probably not top 8 anything in your life playing this deck, unless it's like, you know, like, I'm talking about like BCS or WGP. Like, you know, you might win a shop tournament, you might win like a shop challenge, some qualifiers, but I don't think that, I don't ever expect this deck to like be up on stage or like putting up results anywhere, unless you cheat, but then that's a different story. But I think the deck is very fun, and the fact that it has a very strong early game with a decent first stride that scales, I think makes the deck a playable option. So
I agree. I would not put my Liberator deck anywhere near like the top half of the decks that I own, but I think it's one of the most fun decks to ever play.
absolutely. So what we're going to do today is, so like I said, before the stream started, like after the new year, Tony and I are planning on doing like more fun and relaxed laid back streams on the Mondays as opposed to, you know, the hardcore meta on the Thursdays. So what we're going to do for you today is, as we move to the games, we're going to show you a bit of, you know, what you can expect from said Monday streams.